Hello everybody, my name is Mitchell Glick. I'm here today joined with Graham McMullen, John Bogram, and Christian Hill to talk to you about Mentors Matter.
On today's agenda, we will be looking at program descriptions, followed by community needs/program gaps, which includes mental health rates, self-rated mental health, Aboriginal and refugee considerations. We will then talk about the Waterloo Region LIN alignment, and then the goals, which includes the short-term and long-term goals, followed by the costs, and then the references.
Program description for Mentors Matter. Mentors Matter is run by the non-profit organization called Hull Services in Alberta currently. It provides mentorship for at-risk children between the ages of 5 to 18. These children are those that live in the community, whether they are in their current homes, whether it's foster homes, or whether they are homeless. It aims to de-stress these children while impart them skills to grow their strengths and interests by pairing them with volunteers in the community. Volunteers need to be 18 years or older. The criteria they use to find their volunteers is that they look for people who have the desire to be a positive role model. They need to have strong communication and interpersonal skills. They need to be respectful as they're dealing with very troubled people. They need to understand how to resolve conflict, as conflict is likely when dealing with these people. They need to be open-minded, as they need to be tolerable of different people and what they've been through, and they need to be willing to commit long-term, as you're not going to be close to a child who's developing in 6 months and just want to leave. The meetings are held weekly between volunteers and mentees. Sessions can be one-on-one, one-on-group, or group-on-group, depending on the needs of the volunteer or the mentee. So at risk is considered having experienced some type of trauma, like abuse or loss, and they are susceptible to poor mental health.
Now that you have a better understanding of what the program is like, we're going to talk about the community needs and how this program is going to fill those. Mental health is becoming a hot topic in the community, and people are starting to be more aware of it and willing to talk about it. Amongst research done on this topic, studies have shown that the homeless population is amongst the highest percentage of people to develop or suffer from mental illness. In Manitoba, the population of people below the age of 19 that suffer from homelessness is estimated at 5,400. In Ontario, this number is estimated at 8,200. As well, on top of this, people of low income are also at risk of mental health issues more so than those in a higher bracket, with the amount of emergency calls regarding mental health issues and mental health breaks being 5 times as likely to come from those of low income than high income. If we combine this statistic with the number of instances of homelessness being roughly 1.5 times as greater than that of people that are not in this situation, having a program that assists at-risk youth would be a great benefit to the province and would help try and prevent these things before it happens. Another statistic regarding mental health that we considered is the self-rating of a person's mental health. A study done by the Canadian Institute for Health Information, or CIHI, can help us compare how people in both provinces would rate their own mental health as being fair or poor. As you can see in the graph, Manitoba has a rate of 14.1% and Ontario has a rating of 14.4%. Manitoba has a lower occurrence rate as well as a smaller gap between its lowest and highest percentiles, with Manitoba's gap difference being 8% and Ontario's gap difference being 11.4%. This is a rather big difference, and if a program like Mentors Matter can help decrease people's self-ratings of being poor and increase them of being good or better, then it's well worth the investment.
Youth who are vulnerable to mental health need a mentor to help them through their teenage years. Suicide rates among Aboriginal youth in Canada are the highest of any youth population in the country. According to the Centre for Suicide Prevention, suicide occurs 5 to 6 times more often among Indigenous youth than non-Indigenous youth in Canada. Ontario has taken an initiative to offer much-needed services to Indigenous groups. Ontario's First Nation Action Plan is investing nearly $222 million over 3 years in the areas of primary care, public health and health promotion, seniors care and hospital services, and life promotion and crisis support. Aboriginal communities are very different from one another. It is important to provide support to each person individually and not assume the care you have planned is sufficient for all. Another at-risk population for mental health difficulties is our refugee population. Refugee children deal with many issues such as language barriers, trauma, separation from family and friends, and discrimination, to name a few. According to Dr. Brindamore from Canada's Doctors Say, if we address these challenges early when kids come to Canada, then we promote resiliency and we promote a holistic sense of well-being. So when we address all of these needs, the children will do better in school, they will do better in the future, they will adapt better to their new environment, and be able to thrive and access their full potential. We need to take an individual approach to each child refugee. We currently have kids who have been involved in war as child soldiers. That is a very traumatic experience, and we have other kids who are dealing with separation from their family. This is why it's important to treat each child individually. And now Christian is going to discuss how our program aligns with our LIN.
Now we will talk about the Waterloo Region LIN alignment. So one of the core strategic directions that the Waterloo Wellington LIN wants to provide is access to mental health resources in each sub-region. This also includes self-management. So what our initiative Mentors Matter wants to do is they want to teach kids to be able to share how they're doing and feeling with an individual that is looking for their best interest. So what this does is it creates necessary skills for handling feelings and emotions. Really gives them a chance of developing healthy coping skills to prevent future mental health issues. So it's developing this self-management skill that the Waterloo Wellington LIN is trying to achieve. Another way how the Mentors Matter initiative runs parallel to the Waterloo Wellington LIN's initiative is through corporate objectives. So one of them is to create more formal links between LINs and public health units, and this focuses primarily on prevention. So one of the main issues that they're trying to address is post-secondary mental health. So how this aligns with that is that if you can prevent post-secondary mental health through developing healthy coping skills in younger individuals, then when they reach post-secondary, they will have these coping skills developed so that it will no longer be as drastic as a problem and may reduce the need for post-secondary support services as well. The program's evaluation has also developed a toolkit used on mentoring youth faced with barriers to success. So this toolkit's purpose is to share information and resources for developing, implementing, evaluating, and sustaining effective mentoring initiatives. This helps ensures that mentoring is rooted in best practice. This directly relates to allowing for better prevention against future mental health issues.
Now that Christian has talked about how this aligns with the LIN's principles, Graham is going to talk about the goals and the sustainability of the program.
The main short-term outcome of our program is to reduce suicide rates. However, there are many others such as increasing wellness among our youth, increase school attendance, and allow them to feel important and in an otherwise lonely world. It is important to address mental health needs for our youth population so they can lead successful and fulfilling lives. Mental health care is a relatively new area of focus, and it is very expensive. Ontario is currently spending $3.5 billion of the $51 billion healthcare budget on mental health care. Soon, a large proportion of our population are going to be seniors and will require more health care. If we can address the mental health needs of our youth and treat them now, then hopefully they won't need lifelong care and can be contributing civilians to our economy. These are some long-term outcomes of our program. John will now discuss the costs of our program.
Program costs. There are three main areas regarding the costs of running a program like this. There is the staff salaries and the benefits for that staff, there are operating expenses, and there are program activities. Costs are typically dependent on the level of service that you will provide and the program size. The current figure places around $1,200 per mentee to run a program, typically. Therefore, a program of around 400 mentees require at least $480,000 to run.
That is all that we have. Thank you for listening to this presentation. And what follows is a list of our references. Thank you and have a nice day.